Everybody, how many of us are excited to be here? If you're excited, wave, use your waving emoji or clapping emoji. Thank you. All right, so we started recording. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to session 3 of Beyond Bootcamp, from learning to thriving. And I'm really excited to see all of you back again, showing up, especially everyone that did their tax last week, like back to back every day. You had to like update and all that. I'm really happy to see you again. I'm happy that you're showing up. I'm happy that you're consistent and also taking your design journey seriously, right? And with this, you should actually be proud of yourself. I want you to use your emoji, your clapping emoji, to clap for yourself, right? So today's session is an important one because at some point in your journey, the conversation will move from just learning to actually positioning yourself for real opportunity. And that's why we're actually here today, right? So this evening, we will be talking, our design experts will be taking us through what hiring managers actually look for in beginners' portfolio, how to write a clean, a simple, beginner-friendly case study, how to actually start building your LinkedIn presence, and also a personal brand as a designer. And finally, we're going to have our hands-on activity, which is the portfolio sprint, where you will outline your first case study right here during session, or the year, because it's a week, right? It's just that we meet on Sundays. So by the end of today, you should have clarity on what a good portfolio looks like, plus a structure you can actually plug your first or next project into. So to lead us through today's session, we have an amazing design expert who has happened to be my friend, and also we've worked together in a company before he decided to leave us in Nigeria. So you understand what it takes for beginners to actually stand out, especially in a competitive market. His name is Damilola Adewale. But for now, I would say you are in for a good time. You are in for a practical insight. So just sit, relax, get your jotting pad, your pen to take notes. All right. So let's hand over to our design expert for today, Coach Dami. Please, over to you. Welcome. Can we welcome him with our emoji, your favorite emoji, as he turn on his video and his audio. Damilola, you know, excited to see us. Let us smile, give us, because the way you turn on your video.
Sorry, I'm trying to be sure everything's working fine.
Okay, so you can share your slide.
Okay. Hi guys. I hope you can hear me and you can see me. Okay. All right. I'll share my slide now. 1 second, please. Okay. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, great. Like Shades said, sorry, I call her Shades. I know her name is Folashadi, but I call her Shades. So like she said, today we'll be talking about portfolio and pathways, and how we can position ourselves for opportunities. And I'm using ourselves here because, generally speaking, I believe everyone is a learner, including myself, right? I would explain that at a later slide. But yeah, that's the goal for today. We are basically going to have discussions around portfolios, how we can create a pathway for ourselves to get opportunities, basically, right? And before we go into that, I would give you a brief intro of myself, and I'm glad Fola didn't go into that too much, because I came up with a very lighter version. a very light version that kind of aligns with what we're trying to achieve today. So my name is Damilola Adewale, and I'm a product designer. I am passionate about transforming complex challenges or say situations into simple scalable solutions, right? And my goal while doing this is to drive real impact for users and businesses, right? I believe product design or design sits between the business and the users, right? What's the goal the user is trying to achieve, and what's the goal the business is trying to achieve? Then we'll try to find a balance, right? I believe that's your work as a product designer or as a designer. It's not just drawing rectangles like some people might think, right? And some other things about me, I enjoy listening to others. I could be in a space for like hours, I won't say a word, but I'm listening to like what everyone is saying, trying to learn from people basically. And I actually do enjoy designing, right? It's my hobby. If I'm not designing like actual work stuff, I'm designing something for the fun of it, right? Because yeah, I believe design is a part of life, one way or the other. Even God himself is a designer. So yeah, I am also passionate about product users or humans, as some organizations like to call them. I'm passionate about them, and every team I've worked in will tell you that I am very nitpicky when it comes to the user, right? I would I could spend hours and hours explaining why we have to do something because it's valuable to the users, right? And above all of these things is what I have here. I am a learner, just like you, right? In as much as I've been doing this for a while, I like to keep the learner's mindset, and I think this is also important for you as well, right? Because at every turn, there's something new to learn. Every session you attend, there's something new to learn, and I try to keep that mindset as well. And if you look at everything I mentioned here, I think most of the things I mentioned here is important to every person on this call as well, right? We are all learners. We have to keep that learner's mindset as even as we grow. I think as designers, we should actually try to learn to also listen to people because, for example, the activities we've done in this past week, the activities Kotaje gave everyone to do. I was kind of observing the submissions, and I know people did their research, right, trying to validate their problems and things like that. In the process of doing that, you have to listen, right? You need to listen to the problems other people have about the product you're trying to solve for. Not everyone might enjoy design. We all get into this for different reasons, right? You could be in it for the fact that you heard that you could earn some money from it. But I think at some point you should start enjoying it as you like go into it. And lastly, you have to be passionate about your users, right? Because that's literally what your role is about, right? You are basically there to make the user's life or the product human's life better, basically. So that being said, let's get into our topic for today, which is portfolio and pathways, right? To get into that, I'd like to tell a story. Meet Mira. By the way, this was generated by AI, and I don't really like the image, but anyways, this is Mira. Let's assume that's Mira, right? Meet Mira. Mira is a gardener, right? And she loves carrying a woven basket wherever she goes to, right? And at first glance, if you look at the basket, all you see is that it's holding seeds and some of her gardening tools, right? Because this is something she loves doing. She carries this around often because if she gets an opportunity to do some form of gardening or take care of like plants, she jumps at it, right? However, whenever Mira meets people, maybe new, maybe villagers or people along the road, basically, while she's going about with her basket, they always glance at her basket, right? And when they look at this basket, they see different things in it, right? Some people would be like, oh, you grow moonflowers because they saw maybe a glowing seed in the basket. Some would say, oh, you must know how to shape things because they see the share in the basket, well polished and like ready to go. So for those who don't know what a share is, this is kind of what it looks like. I don't think it has a third leg, but yeah, this is what it looks like. It's mainly used to like prune leaves and kind of like give the garden a nice shape, right? So people see that and assume or say, oh, you must be good at shaping things, right? Because they see that she has this tool in her basket. And with this observation, over time, Mira realized something really important, that people were reacting to the things that she chooses to carry in her basket, right? Wherever she goes, she sees that people are looking at this basket and saying things about the basket, right? So she realized that, oh, it seems people are interested in what I carry in my basket. Then she started being intentional about what is in that basket whenever she steps out. Sometimes she would put story tools inside to show that she's capable of taking on challenges, right? And in some cases, she gets creative about how she packages the seeds in the basket. Our goal for this was to show, okay, I'm a creative person as well, right? Then there are also times where she adds some sketches or notes in the basket to show that she's good at planning and taking care of things, right? And by doing this, over time, the villagers or people that came in contact with her knew who Mira was. What does Mira do? They knew what she could do. And they had a sense of the journey that has brought her to this very point and the amount of work she's willing to like put into what she does, right? That being said, I would like to ask a question. What do we think happened here so far? You can write in the comments, you could unmute and say something, please. Hi, Kabari.
What I think is happening is when she saw that even without seeing her work, people could kind of decipher what she did based on what she carried and how she carried herself. She decided to be more um, intentional about it.
Okay, nice. Any other opinion? Should I call people randomly? Hi, Emmanuel.
Okay,
Want to
good
say
evening, sir.
something? Hi. Please, I'm Dami. No, sir, please.
So I would say briefly that she saw herself through what people see in her basket. She realized
Hmm.
what she is capable of doing. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's another nice way to look at it. That's good. Anyone else? Okay. It's fine. What I see going on here is pretty similar to what Kabari said, and I like Emmanuel's angle to it as well. I see the basket as a portfolio, right? She carries this around wherever she goes to, and she puts in different elements of what she does into that basket, right? Because she noticed over time that whenever she's going somewhere, someone sees what's in the basket and makes a comment about it, right? That basket then has an added value compared to what it was initially. Remember at the beginning of the story, it was just a simple basket to just carry stuff around, right? But then she realized that people made comments about what they saw in the basket. Then she started being very intentional about what she puts in the basket. So I would say this basket, to me, I see it as a product, right? Which is a portfolio that shows what she carries or well, that shows what she can do as a person, right? Like I listed here, some tools show that she could handle challenges, some shows her creativity, and some showed her ability to plan and care for things, right? So in the same way, your portfolio works like this, right? Your portfolio is like a basket, right? So I wrote here that your portfolio is a product, right? However, this product is one that tells your story even before you say anything, right? When we apply to jobs, right? What do you send in? You write your name, you provide your resume, then they ask you to attach a portfolio link or case study links, right? This portfolio or case study links that you send is a product that goes to represent you wherever it is that submission you just made is going to, right? It goes there and speaks for you, tells your story, tells whoever is at the receiving end about you and what you can actually do. The portfolio houses the tools you can use. It houses your ability to care for your users as a product designer. It also houses information about how creative you actually are, right? So that's what your portfolio is. It's a product. I believe as designers, we should look at things from this lens, right? Um, when you are designing your portfolio, see it as a product as well. While I was creating this slide, I saw this slide as a product because there's an end user. Who are the end users? You guys, right? So in order for me to prepare for this particular presentation, I attended the first class. I missed the second one, but I made sure to listen to the video, to the recording, and I was following through with the activities going on during the week, because one way or the other, this is kind of like a continuation of that process that you guys have gone through from Ayomide to Kutaje, then now this, right? It all goes into each other. So these are things that has helped me prepare to come to this point, and I think we should go about our portfolio in a similar vein, right? It's a product, and as product designers or UX designers or researchers, you also approach your portfolio as a product as well, right? So why does your portfolio matter? Why is it important to even have a portfolio in the first place? Like I said before, your portfolio goes ahead of you to like tell your story, right? So we can say your portfolio is your gateway to opportunities, basically. You know, they say opportunities are like doors, right? You knock or you try to open it, right? And then that's when you can actually maximize or use take charge of such opportunities, right? In same vein, the opportunity exists, but your gateway, how do you get to that opportunity? How do you actually take that opportunity? It's through your portfolio. As designers, it is through your portfolio. It is through what you can show the hiring manager or the designer that is hiring for this role, that it is what you can show them that you're capable of doing that would help you basically get the opportunity that you are looking for, maybe as beginners or as designers in general, right? It shows recruiters and hiring manager how you think, right? Not just what you produce or design. So, like I said before, it is not just about slapping images of all the designs you've done over time into a particular page and then you send the link. No, it is also about how do you think as a designer. You want to show your thought process about the decisions you've made and things like that. We'll get more into details about that at a later slide. But like I said before, your portfolio is a product, right? And as a product, when creating your portfolio, you should also know who is the target user, what problem am I trying to solve. The problem you're trying to solve with your portfolio is that, oh, I'm looking for a job, or there's a potential job opportunity out there that I would like to position myself for, right? And the hypothesis is that if I have a portfolio that is solid enough, I should be able to um, get an opportunity to interview for this job, right? Your portfolio is not something that directly equates to you being hired, right? It opens that opportunity, it opens the door, right? You are able to then take a step in, right? When the recruiter sees the portfolio, they like what they see something that works with what they are looking for, then they invite you for that first call, right? Oh, tell us more about yourself and things like that, right? So this is why your portfolio is important. But then, like I said before, when the recruiter sees the portfolio, they call you in. But what do they see that makes them call you in the first place? What do they see that makes them say, oh, Kabari is the right person for us to go ahead with this discussion with, or Emmanuel is looking like someone that we could actually trust to work on this project. Let's have a conversation with him. There are some things they look out for. First thing is this: your hiring manager or whoever is recruiting for a role is going through series of portfolios for every job role. I don't know if anyone has gone to LinkedIn and tried to apply to a job before. You would see that a job that was posted same day, just few hours after, you could see 100 applicants. That means the hiring manager has to go through 100 portfolios, right? And if you add yours to it, that's 101. Nobody has that much time to go into detail to look through every single page, every single letter of your portfolio to then make a decision. At best, they spend around 5-10 minutes going through your portfolio, except if something catches their attention that really makes them stick, right? So how then do we ensure that we get the hiring managers to see the things we actually want them to see, to the point where they will consider us for the next step in the recruitment process, right? What are the things they are looking for? First things first is the ease of navigation. How easy is it for the hiring manager, that is your user now, how easy is it for them to navigate through your portfolio? One mistake people make is they just slam things around. There's no clear navigation. There's no clear categorization of some of their case studies. For example, as a product designer, there are times where at work, the project I'm working on does not require me to do any form of design. The only thing I'm doing is some form of research, right? And there are times where I'm not doing the research aspect. Someone else has done the research and they just hand over the results of the research to me. And I go ahead to just do the UI design of it, right? Or the experience design of it. Those are two different things. When I'm adding those projects as a case study to my portfolio, I should clearly categorize them saying, oh, this particular one is more UX research and this particular one is UI design, for example. And when I actually do UI and UX design, I can then write another category like that, right? Also, there are some designers that have more skills where they do illustration work, motion work, and things like that. You can't just post all have all those works in your portfolio and just put it as case study, full stop. And you are applying to, for example, you're applying to a marketing design role, and you actually have marketing design related projects in your portfolio, but you did not clearly mention that specifically that you have that in your list or your categorization, but instead you just have everything as case study, case study, case study. It would be hard for a recruiter to, or an hiring manager to easily find what they are looking for that matches you to the role that you've applied to. So ease of navigation. Next thing that is needed is storytelling, right? How can I follow the designer's thought process? That's the question the hiring manager has in their mind, right? Because like I said, they don't have all the time in the world to go through all your case studies, right? So your ability to tell a story with your case studies or with the products you've just designed or a feature you've designed is very, very, very vital. Your ability to tell a story is very vital because that's one of the ways you can hold or keep the attention of the recruiter. Imagine that they open your portfolio or your case study and the very first statement is not even clear, and you're using maybe some design related words like some big jargons like I conducted or I did maybe an affinity diagram. An hiring manager might not really know what an affinity diagram is, for example, right? And that can already cause confusion and they are not even sure what they are reading, right? So storytelling is important. The way you are able to like ease them into the process that you've gone through while solving a particular problem is very important. Role clarity, like I said before, there are times where you do a project and all you are on that project is the UX researcher. And there are times where on a project, all you are doing on that project is UI design, right? Or maybe for those who can do illustration work or motion work, all you did was illustration or motion design, right? It is important that you clearly state your role within that particular case study. or that particular project that you've added as a case study in your portfolio. What did you do in the context of this thing, right? Then craft. Yes, this is very important. Like our job role says, product designer or UI UX designer. There's design attached to it. So to an extent, you have to be able to show your taste and your visual style. How do you like to design? Right. For example, it's been a while that I worked with Fola, but if you would ask Fola that how does Dami design, she would say Dami likes to design in a very, very minimal, with a very minimal approach, right? I do minimalist designs. Most of my designs look somewhat like what you see here. It's usually black, white, and very little color, right? There are times where yeah, you have to push beyond that and still deliver. But yeah, you the important thing is you are able to communicate your taste and your visual style. How do you like to approach design? What's your philosophy around design, right? So you have to be able to communicate this. Then there's reflection, right? Recruiters or hiring managers are also curious about what you learned while working on this particular project that you're talking about. What did you learn? Did you um have any challenges across the way or across during the journey? And if you had a challenge, how did you navigate that challenge? That is very, very important, right? Because that then shows them that, oh, this person has a very open mind, has this learner's mindset. And if there is a similar challenge in our workplace, maybe this person will know how best to solve it, right? Because they've learned from this particular experience before. Then the last thing that I have here is relevance, right? After they've seen all these things that we've talked about, the relevance to the role they are hiring for is very important. This part sits at the recruiter's lap or the hiring manager's lap, right? But then there are ways we as designers can find, um, there are ways we can draw some form of alignment into the role we're applying for. And that's where storytelling comes into play, right? Your ability to tie your case studies or your portfolio to whichever role you're applying for is very important, and that's where the relevance comes in, right? Because if you, for example, you're a product designer and your major all of your case studies are more centered around SaaS products, like software as a service, right? Or maybe fintech related product and things like that, then you decide one day that you want to apply to a marketing design role. That could be very tricky because the requirements there is a bit different. You are required in that kind of situation to design things like landing pages, maybe in some cases social media content, right? And as someone who has been doing SaaS related products, it might be a very tricky place to go to. Personally, I would say that's the case for me because I'm very heavy on the SaaS side. And yeah, I try to avoid landing pages as often as I can, right? Because to me, it's more stressful. I prefer to solve problems that are related to like an actual product, right? But yeah, these are the things um hiring managers are looking out for in your portfolio, right? But then that being said, what makes up a portfolio? What's the anatomy of a strong portfolio, right? And this page basically, this particular slide is basically me trying to group all those things I mentioned earlier and trying to put them into just three boxes. The first thing is you have a scannable home page, right? When the recruiter goes through your CV and then they see your portfolio link, when I click on that portfolio link, what should I see? The first thing that I see should be very easy for me to skim through. You shouldn't go there talking about your life's journey on the home page, right? You should try to be as concise as possible, right? So I wrote here that a clean home page with 3 to 4 selected case studies maximum. Now, I am not saying that if you have two, you should not uh, have a portfolio. Even if you have one, there are ways to go about it, right? But the maximum you should have on your own page should be 3 or 4. And that's why if you go to any, in quotes, senior designers um portfolios, you would see that they would label their case study section selected works, especially in the home page. Selected works. Why is it called selected works? It's because out of the vast majority of products or features they've worked on, these 3 or 4 are the ones that I'm really proud of, that I think if I show to anybody, they can prove my ability as a designer to you, right? So that's why you have to be very careful with what you select as products you want to put in your own page, or case studies you want to put in your own page, right? And like I said, it has to be scannable. The recruiter should be able to make out who is this person, what's this person's idea of design or philosophy. If you want to talk about your experience, you have to be brief about that as well. And then, okay, what are the case studies I can quickly go through from this person? Then, secondly, brief bio and contact information. Like I said before, who is this person, right? That should be brief, right? A short introduction. You could also mention like a few skills or some of your core skills that you can beat your chest and say, yeah, I'm good at this thing. Now we'll talk about what being good is at some point, right? That you can beat your chest and say, oh, these skills, I'm good at it. I'm confident about this thing, right? And then there should be clear CTAs, right? CTAs are call to actions. So what do I mean by clear CTAs? Recently, I was going through a designer's portfolio, and she was saying she wanted to get a job at she wanted to get a marketing design role, right? But in her portfolio, when you get into the page, you see the introduction, but there are like 4 paragraphs of introduction. The first thing you're seeing, you're not even seeing any of the case studies, and there are literally no buttons. If I wanted to reach out to the designer from seeing their portfolio, there was no way, right? There was no way to get there. But this is wrong, because then, okay, yeah, you want an opportunity. Someone that has an opportunity sees your portfolio, but they are unable to reach you. How do they contact you? How do they see more of your works or more of you? How do they reach out to you, right? This is why clear CTAs are important. You should have things like maybe send a mail, maybe contact through LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, or whatever Elon Musk calls it, or whichever way you think is best for them to reach you, right? And then lastly, yeah, clear structure. You should have clearly defined problem statements for your case studies. Your process should be clear. The solution you are proposing for this particular feature or this product should also be very clear. And it's important to always have impact, like what's the impact of this thing I'm working on, or this design I'm showing, right? So these 3 groups are what makes up your portfolio. Some of these things, especially the structure part, is more about your case study in particular, which we'll get to, right? So, how do you write your case study? How do you write case studies? This is a very, very important question, right? And at this point, I would like to ask, is there anyone here who has written a case study before? Anyone? AI. Okay, nice. Okay, great. That's Kabari. Thanks for the question. What's even a case study? Anna says she hasn't. That's fine. Yeah, a case study is basically, I would say, you telling the story of your journey for a particular product or feature that you've designed or worked on, right? So remember the submissions you've made to them during the week, based on the assignment Kutaje gave. All those answers or all those things you filled in to the different blocks, like your problem statement and things like that, those are you taking notes, right? Now, the case study is you basically telling a story or giving a documentation of those things, right? In this is me adding something to it now. I would say in a very user-friendly manner, right? And that's why I think storytelling is your superpower in this case, right? Storytelling is your superpower because, for example, um, if we go by the submissions that were made during the week, right? For example, the layout of the document had something like problem statement. Then you write your problem statement. People struggle with doing this, and that. And yeah, that's literally what you're trying to solve, right? Then maybe, for example, what are the user feedback you got? You would talk about, oh, 10% of the users said this, 2% said that, and things like that. But how do you then combine everything to tell a story of you identifying a problem to you providing a solution and the impact to the users, right? That's what your case study does. So it goes through that flow. I would break that down further. Um, like I said before, storytelling is your superpower, right? For every project you write a case study for, you are a hero, in my opinion, because yeah, you're trying to solve a problem. So you're a hero who is looking to solve a problem, right? And so I decided to do these blocks, to write these blocks, and these blocks are from the typical superhero movie structure. Please, who knows about Marvel or DC comics or movies? I've heard about Iron Man, Superman, and the likes. Okay. Kabari, you want to say something?
No, I'm saying I have. I'm a
Oh, okay.
Marvel
Oh,
girly.
oh, great. That's good. Then this will make my life easier. Okay. So, uh, the structure I try to follow, or I think case studies should follow, is kind of like related to how most of the superhero movies are structured, right? Every superhero movie has a villain, one way or the other, and there's usually a journey that they go through to get to the hero's triumph, where they win the villain or even lose in some cases. And then after they do this winning, there's an happy ending, but there's a happy ending at the end, right? So there's usually that structure. This is kind of like the structure of what your case study follows in a way. So who is the villain in your case study? That's the problem you're trying to solve, right? What's the problem? For example, let's use the Avengers, for example, right? Um, oh, Thanos is coming. How do we defeat Thanos? Because he's going to kill half of the universe or whatever. That's the problem on ground, right? What's the journey? The journey is that oh, Doctor Strange has, and Iron Man has to go somewhere. Thor has to go somewhere to go fix his problem with his superpower, and some people have to go to Wakanda to get something. That's the journey, and in this case, that's your design process, right? You reaching out to the users to ask questions, you getting those questions and looking through all the you getting the answers to the questions and looking through all those answers to find the real problems that users actually have with this thing you are trying to solve for. Then going through that process to coming up with an hypothesis of what could be a solution to this problem, right? That's your journey, right? Then the hero's triumph in this case, oh yeah, they won Thanos in Endgame by doing the snapping of finger thing. Your solution is that feature or that product that you came up with, right? That's the solution you've come up with. That's your hero's triumph here. At the end of it, you're like, oh yes, finally I'm able to do this whole journey and prototype it and whatnot. Then the happy ending. What's the happy ending? This is the impact on the users. If we go back to the movies that I mentioned earlier, the happy ending is people for the Avengers movie that I said, when Iron Man did the snap thing, initially people came back, right? There was a blip initially, people came back, and yeah, people are back to their loved ones and things like that, and they have to reconnect and stuff. In your case as a product designer, the happy ending is the impact. How does this impact the users, right? Remember, we identified the problem initially, you've proposed a solution. Now, how does this affect the users, right? You should be able to measure this impact and be able to show this in your case studies. So this is the typical, like I'll say, structure of your story when writing your case studies. Now, to break that down further, but no, before we go into that, please, any questions so far? Going. Go
So
on.
why don't sir, you are not more using slide.
Sorry, you can't see my slides?
Yes, we can't see your slide.
I can see your slides.
Okay. You know what? Let me stop sharing and share again to see if it will work for you. Okay, 1 second. Can we see the slide?
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it now. It's visible now.
Okay. Emmanuel.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. I'll continue.
Oh, just con-
So we already broke down. Sorry?
I said, oh, just continue. Oh,
Okay. So we already broke down what a typical story or what your story should look like in terms of when writing your case study. Now let's look at what this looks like in the actual designing of that case study. Typically, I would say even as at last year, this is how I understood case studies to look like. I provide context, right? For example, Kaduna Refinery has an issue with handling documents, and this means that they have to handle their documents in paper. And while handling these paper documents and passing it through different offices, some papers get missing, and some signed documents could be missing, and this affects the smooth running of the refinery, right? I was brought in as a product designer to find a way for them to digitize this process and simplify their workflow, right? That's context, right? Immediately I say this, the next thing I do is, so I started by defining the problem, and the problem is that people people have to make use of paper to do this and that. Then after defining the problem, the next thing I did is to come up with hypotheses on, oh, this is how I'm going to solve this thing. And then from the hypothesis, I did my initial design draft. And after that, I reviewed with the stakeholders, right? So those are the steps of my process, right? And after I'm done with this, I just go straight to, oh, this is my final design and this is what it is, full stop, and I move, right? This worked for a while, but then I realized that there are some important things missing in my case studies, right? Because over time, while applying to some jobs or showing other people my case studies, they were asking certain questions, right? And somewhere along the way, one day I was on Twitter, funny enough, and a designer I really respect, I think John Ogaga, yeah, he posted something somewhat like this that explained the typical case study structure and what your case study structure should actually look like. And I felt this really answered the question I've been getting from people whenever I show them my case study when it was at this structure, right? Because I usually get questions like, oh, what was the outcome of this project you worked on? I think it would be nice to see it earlier. Or what was the impact of this thing? But I wasn't sure how best to show this, because there are times where you actually work on a project and you don't know what the impact is yet, right? Maybe you worked on a project for the fun of it, right? What's the impact of it? I don't know, because I didn't build it out for people to see yet, right? So now let's talk about each of these things. Context, I already mentioned before, right? This company XYZ is struggling with this particular problem, right? Or product XYZ has this problem. And I think this affects users in these different ways. And I am coming on board this project, or I'm working on this project as a product designer looking to solve this problem by doing A, B, C, D, right? After giving the context, I try to show an outcome. Basically, this outcome is typically like a prototype or a click through of my final design, right? It's just of the key screens, just to show, right? And the reason for this, remember one of the first things we mentioned when we're talking about things that recruiters or hiring managers are looking out for: ease of navigation and clarity, right? Like I said before, they have a lot of portfolios they're going through, so they are going to be skimming through. So you want to catch the attention of the hiring manager as soon as possible, right? That's why I'm providing context, the problem, and what I'm trying to do, right? Then the outcome of what I did. So I'm showing those two things first. By seeing those two things, the recruiter or the hiring manager would already know if they can go ahead to read the next part, right? Because they can already see the outcome. And if they see the outcome and your design is good enough or is eye-catching enough, it could actually make them want to read more into that case study that they've just opened, right? So I show the outcome, and from there, I then go into my process, right? The key stages of speaking to potential users, potential end users, going through different back and forth about coming up with hypotheses, right? Oh, these are the current situations, and these are my hypotheses of if we try this thing, this could work, and this could give us this result. Then going ahead to then mention some other phases. All these things I would every of this step I would mention further later on, and I think we'll also have it as an activity as well. Then the final design part, where I then go into each screen. So remember, the outcome here is basically a matchup of all the screens in just one single format, right? Maybe a video of me clicking through. I'll do a screen recording of me clicking through, and I use that as the outcome. But the final design here is me going through the key screens of the product in detail, right? For example, the dashboard, I'll talk about the dashboard. Oh, the dashboard does A, B, C, D, and it is important for the users because it helps them do this. Then I go into maybe user management, for example. I designed the user management in this particular way because it makes it possible for the user to do that, right? So those kind of details. Then after I show my designs in detail, I then go into impact. Impact in this case goes two ways. Now, you could argue that, oh, I'm just a beginner, I haven't gotten a job yet, and so I don't have a product that is out there that people are using that I would know the impact of what I have done. Now, let's reverse that idea. Instead of talking about what the product has done to users, you can mention what you expect it to do for users as an impact, right? For example, let me think of a problem. So, for example, users spend 3 days to onboard their clients, right? My target user spends 3 days to onboard their clients, right? And I'm designing a solution that helps them to ease the onboarding process of these clients, right? Now, I've done the design, I have not released it out there. The users haven't started working on it yet. How do I determine the success of this product? By setting KPIs, right? So what are the performance indicators that tells me that this product is doing well? That's where the impact comes into play, right? Then I can say, okay, before it used to take the users 3 days to onboard the client, right? Impact, I can now say, by using this product, I expect that the users should be able to go from onboarding their clients in 3 days to maybe 3 hours, for example. That's a very high jump, right? But going from 3 days to 3 hours. So that shows that you have something in mind that you're trying to achieve. That's what it tells the hiring manager or whoever is reading your case study. It tells them that you have something in mind to achieve, even if it hasn't been achieved yet, right? And it kind of further emphasizes your confidence in what you've built or what you've designed, right? Then lastly, it's important to always mention your learnings and next steps or feedback, so to say. So learnings in this case is, oh, while working on this project, I learned the importance of teamwork, right? Or I learned the importance of listening to the users to understand their actual pain points, right? Or I learned the importance of for example, iterative design, right? Going back to my design to make changes to improve on it until I was able to get the users buying or the stakeholders buying, things like that. Next steps in this case could also be a situation of, say, if given more time, I would have loved to do an A/B testing, for example, right? So that kind of thing. So this is what your case study structure should ideally look like, right? Okay. That being said, how do you position yourself for opportunities? It's one thing to design your portfolio, write the case study of your life. Like, you've really taken your time. You took months, especially as designers. It takes us a long time to get our portfolio ready. It took months to write out those case studies. They are amazing. You love what you've written, and now you need to get those opportunities. So how do you then position yourself for these opportunities? Does anyone have any ideas around this? No? Okay. Anyone?
Okay, you want us to contribute?
Yes.
Okay. I feel one of the best way to position ourselves for opportunities is to put ourselves out there, most especially on social media. Then look out for opportunities to contribute.
Mhm.
Maybe volunteering
Okay.
opportunities available. We can make ourselves available. Then have meaningful conversations on social media.
Mm.
So I feel those are the things that I've done that worked for me in other spheres of life, and I feel it can also work too in product designs.
That's actually very, very um, well said. That's basically what I was going to say, right? Yeah. How do we position ourselves for opportunities? Your online presence, right? Your online presence is very, very important. It is gold, literally. And I would like to drop a disclaimer here, because in case someone decides to look for me on Twitter or anywhere else online, you see this part of how to position yourself for opportunities. I would say whatever I'm saying here is very important. It's really what you should do. But you would probably, if you would find me on Twitter, for example, you would probably say, "Oh, this guy that took the bootcamp the other day and said we should be posting often, we should be doing this or that often, he's actually not doing any of these things." You might say that. I try my best, but I'm not consistent, right? And I'll talk about that. I try my best. I'm not consistent. I'll be very honest and say very quick disclaimer about that, right? But then, AY said in our first session, if I remember well, don't compare yourself with some people. Some people get their own opportunities in a different way, right? But one very sure one that actually really, really works, especially for a newbie, is your online presence. In fact, my first job, which is where I met Fola, actually came from social media. It was me posting on Twitter and reaching out to people on Twitter. That was how I got my first job. So, in as much as I'm saying that I'm not really active on social media, I would like to say I benefited from it, and that's why I can confidently say this as well, right? So, yes, I want back that disclaimer anyway. Okay, let's go into this. Yeah, like I said before, your social profile and brand is what is very important. It's gold, right? Because this is what people would remember after viewing your profile, right? So if I go to your LinkedIn, your Twitter, wherever it is that you are most active, maybe IG, right? Your profile and your brand is very, very important. And that's why I brought these images here, because these are some people that I follow and I really like their work, right? Even though Drew, for example, these days only talks about his wife and some rich lifestyle. But yeah, these are some people that I really respect and I love their work. They post often, they talk about design often, and I learn from them as well, right? In case you don't know, this is Dara Soba. I hope I'm getting that name right. Yeah, this is Darasoba, and this is Druids, the Kanayo design. This is Leye. This is Leye, and yeah, we call him Uncle Leye. He's really a solid designer as well. And this is Shatter. He's also a solid designer. These are really good designers. You could actually look for them on Twitter and follow them. And one of the reasons why I decided to show these images is that since I have known these people, right? Leye's profile picture has been the same. This one has been the same since I've known them, and this is not 1 year now. Druid did a bit of a tweak to his design, but to his profile, but it has always looked like this. So you can't see the slide,
The
or you can't see the
images,
images.
can't see.
Oh, but
Yes,
you can see the
boss.
slide. Oh, okay. Anyone else
Yes, we can see
not
the
seeing the
slide.
images?
There are 4 images on the slide, but I think your annotation is not really showing.
Oh no, I'm not showing the names. I'm not mentioning the
Yes,
names.
fine.
I'm not
I
writing.
can
I didn't
see
write the
now. I
names
can see
here.
now. Thank you.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Where I'm going to with this is their profile has been consistent over time, right? And it makes it easy to find them. There was a time Layer changes profile picture, for example, and yeah, I was pointing at each one with the cursor. There was a time Layer changed his profile picture, for example, and it was a struggle to find him. Like, he would post and I would miss whatever it is he posted. So I had to go find his profile and switch on notifications so that I would know in the long run. This is the I'm saying this to emphasize the importance of your brand, right? It goes as far as what your profile picture is, right? It is really important. You have to be consistent with that. Typically, they would say it's important to have a consistent profile picture across your social media channel, in case if someone goes from your maybe your Twitter to your LinkedIn and things like that, it's easy for them to find. But then let's talk specifically about LinkedIn for a bit, because that's really where you are going to go apply for jobs. And yeah, it's important, right? X, that is Twitter, and IG can also land you jobs. Like I said, my first role came through Twitter, right? But LinkedIn is known to be the go-to for most people, right? And most organizations go there, right? So what are the things you really need to do with your LinkedIn to position yourself well or in the right way? First off, your profile picture is really important, right? Like I've emphasized before. But then with LinkedIn, it has to be as professional as you can get, right? It has to be clear and approachable. If you go to my LinkedIn now and you see the picture there and you see me now, you probably say, where did he get this hair from? Because in my LinkedIn, I don't look like this, right? And yeah, I know it's due for an update, but I haven't at the time. But yeah, you really need to have like a professional or an approachable picture in your profile. Then the headline has to be clear. Like, what do you do? What's your job role, basically, right? I wrote an example here. Product designer, designing functional and usable products on a global scale. This is how I like to summarize what I do, right? But in my LinkedIn, for example, I only have product designer there. However, if we go by best practice, it's nice to mention your should I say your values, or how you approach design or how you see design, right? In my case, I say I design functional and usable products on a global scale, right? So you should have that clearly written in your headline, right? Then the about section, yes, this part, the about section allows you to write a lot of things, right? But I would advise that you don't go about writing life story. Oh, I am the firstborn of 4 children, and I am the breadwinner of my family, for example. And I used to do A, B, C, D, and then today I decided I want to start working on design, and I am new to it. No, I think it should be short summary of your journey. It should be a short summary of your journey, right? And I honestly believe we all have a story to tell, and our stories are unique. right? Our journey to this point is unique, and it is very important that you find ways to marry your journey so far to this journey you are about to start, that is the product design journey, right? Find a way to find similarities from what you used to do to what you currently do now, right? An example, I'll use myself for example. Prior to doing product design, I used to do front end development, and I used to be a writer, a freelance writer. And when I was a freelance writer, I used to do articles, product descriptions, and things like that, right? Now, my first about me that I ever wrote, or my first one that I used to get my first job, right, was me trying to match those two experiences that I had into what a product designer should be, right? And trying to say it is important, right, going forward. So how did I explain myself? Now, I hope I remember everything, but how did I explain myself? I was basically saying something like, hi, my name is Damilola Adewale. I'm a product designer who is passionate about solving user problems. Prior to product design, I used to be a front-end engineer, and after some years into front end engineering, I felt I needed to get closer to the users, and due to this, I decided to go into freelance writing, which gave me a closer proximity to the user because I can then know the exact thing they would like to see and write for that, right? Then years later, I stumbled on product design, and I realized that product design helped me marry my understanding of front end engineering and the things I write. But this time, it also gives me the power to actually decide what those things look like from the get go. And I believe these skills are important as a product designer because I can leverage on my understanding of front end engineering and my understanding of writing to come up with designs that actually work and copies that would help the users navigate the product successfully, right? In fact, that's me trying to like match different things together and bringing it into product design, right? So our stories are unique, right? And that story I just told, I think if it would take me more than one paragraph, it shouldn't be more than two or three max, right? So you should try your best to be as concise as possible because, like we said, or like we established before, the hiring managers have several things that they're going through, and yeah, they need to be able to do this fast. Then, of course, you should add your portfolio link. That's the point of all of this, right? Lastly, oh yeah, lastly, in as much as you've done all these things, you set up your profile, it is actually very important for you to show up and engage. Like Taiwo said, you have to show up. Like you have to tell your story, share your behind the scenes, right? Don't be scared of sharing your behind the scenes. I know that we might be saying, oh, I'm new to this thing. People would say things. I'm not sure how people will receive this design I've done. I see other people's design and they are really good. My design is bad, like that. Well, I'm happy to tell you that we all feel the same way. Even I do. I see some designs sometimes and I'm like, oh Lord, I haven't even started, right? And there are people that are doing that has more years of experience than I have, and they come across other designers and they're like, oh, wow, right? So there's always room for more, right? So you shouldn't be scared to share your work, right? Also, when you see other people post their work online, engage the posts, share your own thoughts about the designs they've done, and please be honest, right? uh I see a lot of clean design or fire emojis or things like that in a lot of people's designs. You are not helping the person and you're not helping yourself. It's important that you actually talk about what you think of the design. What did you notice in the design that really caught your attention? Talk about it. Also, join communities and participate in activities in those communities, right? So it's one thing to join communities and another thing to actually do things when the community is actually doing some stuff or have activities, right? Also, treat treat every online interaction as part of your portfolio of reputation, right? You are building your reputation online, right? So every activity you engage in, every interaction you engage in, treat it as a way to show yourself, a way to put a foot forward, right? So approach the social media space with that kind of mindset in general, right? And for those who would say, oh, I'm new to this thing, I'm just a baby designer, I'm an amateur. This is a statement from Charlie Chaplin. I actually got it from a book. The book's name is Show Your Work. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, it's going to be blurry. But yeah, I'll probably drop it in the group chat. If you would like to get the book, it would be nice to do that. But yeah, it's a quote from the book by someone called Charlie Chaplin that says, that's all any of us are. We are all amateurs, right? We don't live long enough to be anything else. We are all amateurs, whether you like it or not. Whether you are 1 year into design, whether you are 2 days into design, whether you are 10 years into design, you would always meet someone that is way, way ahead of you in terms of like years of experience. And honestly speaking, there are also times where you've gotten like 5 years, 7 years, whatever years in design, and then you see someone that's pretty new doing something really unique, and you still have to learn from them regardless, right? That's my mindset to design in general, and I would like to encourage us all to have that kind of approach or mindset towards our learning and towards how we post our work, right? It's an opportunity for you to learn. So I would say one way for you to position yourself for opportunities is to actually show up, is to actually share your work. No matter how, in quotes, ugly you think it might be, still show it. This is something I also struggle with. That's why I'm not really consistent, apart from the fact that workload can be ridiculous sometimes. There are times where the imposter syndrome comes in and I'm like, oh no, this design is not good enough to be out there. But it's a lie. It is good enough. I'm saying this to you and I'm saying it to myself. It is good enough to be out there. Feel free to share your work. I try to share more often this year, I would say, because I do it sometimes and I don't sometimes, because a lot of my work is NDA, it's covered by NDA, and I can't really share them. But I try to share the ones I can. But I would encourage you to do that. Someone on Twitter once said, capitalism is not anybody's mate, right? If you are thinking or worried about what people might say, think about what you will suffer from capitalism if you don't share your work and you don't get opportunities. And I think that is enough encouragement for you to do something about it, right? Because this is what opened those doors for you and helps you to take that one step into it for you to then actually make use of those opportunities and land yourself a role. And yeah, for me, I think the sky is the limit from there. Um, any questions so far? Right, I will.
Thank you so much for the things you've said so far. Sincerely, it's an eye opener. But please, my question is this: um, for some of us who, because for someone like me, even though I have some years of experience in graphic design, but recently I started feeling like I will do well in the area of writing. And there was a time I saw something like UX writing and the likes. So if we are to try to build our career around, if I'm to build my career around UX writing, do I still need to lay more emphasis on UI designs? So that's my
Mm,
question.
okay, that's an interesting one. I would say not really. You don't really need to mention, oh, I do UI design, except if you do, because you don't want to end up lying, right? That's one. Then I would say your work as a graphics designer in a way can also play into how you position yourself for the UX writing role, right? Because even as a graphics designer, you write content into those graphics work, right? And in fact, that's one of the, in my opinion, that's one of the toughest form of design to do, to actually do graphics work, because it's a lot of marketing related things, and that then means if you do your design work well, you'll basically land clients, so to say, right? Or you get users, and that involves you writing one way or the other. And I think if you would position yourself as a UX writer, you can leverage on the graphics experience really well into that journey as well, if that's where you want to go to. You don't have to say, oh, I'm a product designer, in order for you to sell that you can actually do UX writing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening. This is Messi. Thank you for the class. I've really like I'm just transitioning to UI and UX. So for someone like me, what do I do about my case study, the portfolio and all? Because I don't even have a product to do put there and just put myself out there. So what do I do?
Yeah. That's why I'm happy that Kutaje took the last class, and I saw the submissions and I was really happy about that, because the activity we have for this week is going to leverage on what you've done so far, and we can see from there how we can transition those kind of work into actual case studies that you could show. So case studies don't have to be a live product that people use every day. It could be an experiment that you did yourself, that you validated with actual users or potential users or other people that are struggling with that particular thing, right? And you designed a solution for it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a product that is live out there, right? It doesn't have to be that. It could, in fact, I think until maybe earlier this year, one of the case studies I have in my portfolio was basically something I did for the fun of it. It was for hostels in Nigeria, and we didn't end up developing it. It didn't go live, right? But yeah, it's there. A case study I want to work on maybe early next year is for a product idea that I had this year and I worked on. It has not seen any code. It's not live in any way, but I'm still going to write a case study for it regardless, right? So what I'm saying in essence is you don't have to wait to actually do a live project for you to have a case study. The most important thing is you have a problem you're trying to solve, and you actually go through the process of solving it and coming up with a solution, right? You already have something you can write a case study on, which then means the project, the submissions we made during the week, that's already something you can use to work on a case study. And that's what we're doing this week.
Okay, sir. So will there be like a template that will follow?
Yes. I would be sharing a template. I think I'll share with Shades, and Shades would share it with us all, and we would have an assignment basically on how to go about um these this this process through the week, right? Because I know it takes a while to write a case study, especially as a beginner. It might be very tricky to do, but I have some guides and examples as to how you can go about it there. Just to give a little peek. Actually, I wanted us to do this, but I think our time is fast spent. I don't know if we have enough time, Shades.
Like how many minutes?
I don't know. I was going to ask someone to answer some questions, but I think we can do
Yeah,
this over
can
the
ask.
week. But I'll just,
Yeah, you can
sorry.
go ahead and ask. You said ask. You also ask questions, have you?
Yeah, it's more like based on the activity done during the week. I would
Okay. You
like
can
them to
just
answer some of this.
yeah. You can pick one or two persons. Yeah, please go ahead. We're here to learn.
Okay. All right. Who is up for this activity? It's going to be fun. There's no wrong answers. We're just here to have fun. This particular activity. Are people scared? I don't bite. Promise. Okay, let me pick someone. If you submitted or if you participated in an activity, can you please reply with emojis? Don't lie, I can find you on WhatsApp. Okay. Hi, Mercy.
Hi, sir.
Sorry, I saw your emoji and I didn't even know you were the one talking earlier. But yeah, okay, good.
Okay, so mine, because the
Let's.
reason why I didn't come out to see anything was because I don't finish mine. Because as of last week, I was telling
Fine.
Kuta Jade that I'm new to design, so I really can do the whole high fidelity thing, but
Yeah,
a lot
that's fine.
of problem and everything. So
Yeah, that's really fine. At least we can do the first part together, the context, right?
okay,
So basically, what I want you to do is give a background story of why you or why you took on that particular project or idea.
okay. For me, my project is around solving the problem of not knowing how to, as in probably for online learners like me, like self learners.
Mm-hmm.
We come back and then you are starting the course, and then you find out, probably you got distracted and you went to do something. Coming back, you just you don't know where to start from. Most times, I personally have the challenge. I'm learning a course in Coursera. A lot of courses do. It's just on pending, and I'm like, oh, where did I even stop? I can't actually go back to where exactly I stopped. I have to go back and start all over. So I see it as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to, like, since you said we should do something that is very quick, something very easy. So I had to pick that. So
Yeah.
for online learners like me, it's a solution whereby there's a app that you can go to, and then okay, this is the course I'm doing. This is the model I am. This is the
Mm-hmm.
topic. This is a page. You just have to just document it somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
so that when next you come back, you can just start from where you stopped instead of going back to work your head on where did I stop and all of that. So that was the idea behind it. Something very simple.
Yeah. Um, what you shared. So there are some key points from what you've mentioned, right? The major problem of not knowing where you stopped when you actually go through a course and you stop, then come back later on, right? Knowing where you were, right? And this is quite frustrating for you, and you believe this is something that a lot of people struggle with as well, right? And when you started the statement, you said for online learners, these things happen, right? This is basically how context works, right? This is how the project overview works, right? The way you literally said it. It's literally a statement of something like, oh, okay, bye, bye. It's literally a story of online learners struggle with um, picking up from where they left off, right? And this is because when you have multiple class sessions or course materials that you go through and you stop in between, it can be a pain to figure out where you stopped and how
Yeah.
best to continue. Therefore, I'm designing a solution to help users easily find the right place to continue or pick up a course that they left behind a while back, right? That's literally what you need, right? So my reason for asking that you say this is because there's this vague fear of, oh, I need to write a case study. This is going to be very hectic. The truth is, while doing the work, right, if you were documenting, everything you need to write in your case study already exists in your documents or in your documentation, right? It's just rewarding it like you're telling a story. That's all you need to do at that point in time, right? And yeah, that's basically it. I don't want us to spend too much time on this. I would have loved us to go to impact as well. But yeah, Taiwo, I'll call you shortly. Let me just round this up. But these are all of these things or all these steps that you need to take, especially for your case study as a whole. I have written it down in a template and I'll share with Shades, which we would share with everyone as well. And we'll take this up through the week as our assignment, right? So basically, our assignment is basically us coming up with a case study for the products or the idea that we worked on through the week. Mercy, I understand that you've not done the design side of things. That's fine. It's not a problem. So for everyone else as well, if you know you've not done the design side of things, it's fine as well. You will still be able to participate in this. So yeah, I think that brings me to the end of it, but I would like to stop at this particular screen because I think it's important that everyone continue to remember that we are all amateurs. But yeah.
Okay, so sir, so the problem idea and all of that is under the context, right? Problem.
Yes, yeah, yes. So the context just gives a very brief intro of the problem. It is when you go into those key stages, that's when you actually dive into the problem proper, the way you have it in the submissions from the week.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. But like I said, in the template, you would see a much better explanation and examples of what each of these things mean.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Shades. Over to you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you so much, Dami, for that session. Right, and I know that you've asked if anyone has question and you've given their question. But me, as usual, I'm going to ask your takeaway from this event. I said event from this session. So if you have like questions, sorry, not questions, like your key takeaway, let's use that word from this session. What are you taking home? What is something that will never leave you? Is it left hand or right handed? You used to say that you keep in your heart forever and ever and ever, that will stick with you, that you always remember, right? What's like that takeaway from this session? So I want like, let's have 3 persons because of time. I would have said Kabari because I know Kabari is like she wants, but let's have other people. Let's have other people as well. But Kabari, please, if you are, please share because I always love to listen to your your own key insights. Yeah. Okay, someone raised their hand or his hand, so please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much. I mean, that was a powerful presentation and it was quite insightful. I think this is just a kind of addition to everything you said, and I would like to share this as well. Like, your portfolio, case study, everything will get you that interview, right? That interview you always wanted, but I think we also need to look at our charisma and our attitude. You understand, like humility and some other things, because it will be so bad, like you getting that interview and the way you present yourself and every other thing, like it's a no-no. So I think we also need to work on that too. Like as much as you're working on your portfolio, we also need to work on our attitude towards everything. And that being said, then Daniel also said something about trying to correct other people when they put. Honestly, let me just say this. Like, I have very good sight for details. Like, when I see things, then I have good eyes. I can easily spot errors and all of that. I don't know how God gave me that gift. I'm thankful for that. But the thing is this, like, the person you want to correct, are they ready for criticism? That's on one side. Then I that want to correct you, or not, I don't want to say correct actually, the whole learner, like Danny said. Like, I don't want to, okay, pinpoint like, oh, this thing. And I've noticed some kind of attitude in you, probably towards the chat you dropped or something, or like, I don't want to go into details like that. But the fear of what will I get from you when I come to your DM, like, even if I don't want to point it out publicly, like, because I will actually prefer to do that in your DM, like, oh, just to show you. But that fear of what will I get when I get to you, that's something that we should always have to consider. And that boils down to the attitude. Like wherever we are, we should just try to comport ourselves and manage our attitude in such a way that people will not have a wrong perception of who we are. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point as well. What you said about the attitude of the receiver, right, of your comment, I would just like to say that it's important that when we are making comments, because I don't like to call it correction, when we're making comments about people's work, right, we should come from the point of, should I say, comment with grace? We should come from a perspective of being very thoughtful about how we approach these kind of things, right? Because, for example, if I'm to give a comment about any design whatsoever, I look for at least one thing that I really like about the design, and I start with that, right? That kind of helps to bring the person's guard down and helps the person to see that you are not just trying to hurt them with your comments, but instead you are trying to just help them, basically, right? So I always try to start with, oh, nice design. Like, in all honesty, if the design is nice, I comment that the design is nice, right? Oh, nice design. I noticed this and that, which I really love. However, I also noticed that this and that can be improved. I think you can try to do this and that. I don't come from an authoritative tone, right? So I think it's important to approach in that way as well. So yeah, I think that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you very much, Abisuri. I also think so. I think that personality, like giving feedback for me, like when I started in design. So I remember when like IK used to give me feedback, like or when other people from different departments like try to give me feedback. Sometimes I used to be angry, like because or sometimes I allow my emotions to be like all over the place because I've been like I'm giving my all, I'm giving my best. So sometimes give people grace, let them because people are growing out of stage. You don't know what people are going through. I remember one of the scenario that happened that I went somewhere, I came back, then IK called me. That's my line manager at that time. He called me. I was like the way he called me and said, Alashi, what have you done? Da, 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 da. Like the fear he created in me. So I was almost crying. So when he noticed my disposition at everything, he had to hug me and like, okay, calm down first. Okay, you didn't do anything bad, but I want to explain. And I had to explain what happened, da, 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 da. And I had to advise me that next time when this kind of thing happened, this is how you should handle it. So he saw that it was not my fault, but it was still my job because if they at the end of the day they want to say who did it, they'll say it's actually a designer that did it. So whatever story that happens, the first question, who actually was the product designer in charge of this, right? So sometimes you don't know what people are going through. So you have to be empathetic, and that's why we're designers. Like that empathy thing is not just for users, but also for everybody around you, whether your stakeholder, whoever you want to give feedback. So that's my own sense. I don't know if that's fine. So thank you for that observation and question. Absolutely. So do we have anybody that wants to give us their take? Let me hear from Kabari. Like it's always interesting to hear from her. Kabari or any other person. While we're waiting for us.
Sorry. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Miss. Sorry, I said Mr. Thank you, Dami, for your
Coach Dami. All of you are
coach.
Mr.
Don't
and Mrs.
don't coach me, don't Mr. me, please. I don't like
Thank
honorifics.
you, Dami, for your talk, yeah. It was very insightful. Um, I wanted to talk about the portfolio parts, choosing what's it called, projects to put on your portfolio. I know you said even if it's small, like it doesn't matter. But like at this stage, I still feel like I've always felt like I don't need a portfolio because there's barely anything design worthy to put there, and I don't want to just have a bunch of let me just call it junk basic tiny baby designs there. So I didn't ever really see need. And I also don't like the whole posting thing on LinkedIn. It just felt like begging for attention to me. That's how it's always felt. So maybe I'll be like you that never posts, or maybe I would start incorporating it. I don't know.
Please don't be like me. If there's anything you want to take home from this, don't be like me that never posts. No,
Do as you say, not as you do.
no, do as I say in this case. But yeah, in all seriousness, right? Just to mention, when you say, oh, there's nothing design worthy that you can post and things like that, I would say I disagree. So long as you designed it, you can post it. I have heard some interesting stories about people that got some really nice roles. And when I saw the design that brought them the role, I'm like, really? You get, right? So you'll be amazed at who needs what you've posted. It will shock you. Like you'll be like, wow, on top waiting. Right. So I was thinking maybe I should even share what my earlier designs look like, but I'm also trying to be careful about someone thinking, oh, even me, I'm not this good yet. But I don't know. What I had on Twitter in the early days looks somewhat like this, right? If I told myself that I designed this back then, now, like looking at it now, I'm pissed at myself, right? Because what I would design now for this same thing would probably be better than this, I believe. I hope. But then this got the attention of Adobe XD at the time, right? So don't limit yourself based on say, oh, I'm not sure if it is design worthy or whatnot. If this thing that I'm looking at here can make Adobe XD say something and they say this is amazing, I don't know what's amazing here, but fine, at least from my perspective, right? And this is me talking based on what I know now, right? So all I'm saying in essence is don't limit yourself based on, oh, this is where I'm at right now, right? You'll be amazed at who would see what you've done and say it is nice work, right? And it also depends, which is why I said initially that how you tell your story is important, right? How you talk about this design is important. You talking about it from a learner's mindset can actually make a company willing to, let me say in quotes, take a gamble and say, oh, this person has an open mind and is willing to learn. We can bring this person on board, help this person learn and get better at this thing. And yeah, before you know it, you have a very nice role. So yeah, please don't limit yourself.
Thank you very much, Dami.
Okay, do we have any other person? One, two. Do we have anyone? Anyone going? Okay, gone. So, Coach Dami, thank you so much. This has been such a practical and eye-opening session. Thank you so much, like so much for breaking down everything down clearly. And to the mentees, the fellows, let me use that word. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Really, I'm proud of you guys, how far you've gone, you've come, and how far you are going to go in life. I'm really proud of you. Like Danny was saying, let me just summarize that your portfolio is not just a collection of your screen, your designs, your UI, but it's actually your story, it's your process and your growth as a designer. So you don't need 10 projects, you need like at least solid 2 to 3 projects, maybe something that is very clear, that is intentional. I remember when I had like an interview during one of my podcast session where I asked a design director that if he wants to hire someone that has not worked before, someone that is new and all that, and he said something fresh, like he said something around having a one solid project, right, on your portfolio. So he said, because I told him specifically the person has not worked before, like the person is maybe fresh out of boot camp and all that. So it's important that you're intentional about what you put on your portfolio. Don't just put it for example, because you don't know who will see it one day or where your portfolio will get to. Like when I started out, I didn't have a portfolio and I missed a lot of opportunity, really. Like sometimes when I think about it, yes, I'm grateful for where I am, but I missed a lot of opportunity. Even now that like I'm working, yes, but I'm still like trying to like update my portfolio, right? So there's like Dami said, we're learning, we're still trying to improve and grow because it's a journey, growth is a process, just like life is a process and all that. So thank you so much, Dami, once again for this session. So as always, the section recording will be shared later today, and also your activity for the week, like the way Saturday and following up and all that. So we'll have it for the week. So next week, we're going to wrap our final session with Ask Us Anything, a practical Q&A with all the designers. And also, we're going to have a tech recruiter come as well to tell us from our own perspective as a tech recruiter what she is saying, how you can stand out and all that, especially as a beginner. So thank you so much all for showing up today, and please just celebrate Dami with your favorite emoji. Celebrate him with your favorite emoji. Put on the chat, thank you, Dami. On the chat, thank you, Dami. Thank you, Coach Dami. Please add.
This is sounding like TikTok.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Have a great week, and don't forget to do your tasks. Thank you, everyone. Bye. See you on Sunday.
Bye, guys.